Share screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great. All right, can get started then. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Radhe Radhe. Good morning, good evening again, everyone. Wishing all of you a very happy Mahashivratri. So today we are going to touch upon the topic of who is Lord Shiva and is he Param Purush, Brahma. We'll directly get to the business end of the discussion here. Okay. That is the question that would be there in our minds. So today's Mahashivratri. So Lord Shiva itself means the auspicious one, and then there are different stories related to that. One is he married goddess Parvati because celestial gods were really wanting him to beget a son who could kill the demon that they were afflicted with, I think Taraka. There's another story which says that on this day, Lord Shiva, that when the Samudra Manthan was going on, and Kshiresagar and Halahal or the poison came, then that Manthan was being done to get the nectar, the Amrit. But before that came Halahal, the strong poison, which and that poison was so strong that it was suffocating the entire universe. And in order to save the universe, Lord Shiva drank that poison and kept it in his throat. And it was so strong, it became blue. And that is why his another name is Neelkant. So there's another, this is the second story related to Mahashivratri. The third one is where there was a big shivling and Brahma and Vishnu, they wanted to find end of that shivling. Where does it end on either side? And they could not. And finally, on this day, Lord Shiva gave him personal manifestation to show them because they could not find the end on either side. So there are different stories related to that. So we'll anyway get more deeper into this topic today, but let's get started with our shloka for the day, which is 4.7. And this is a shloka. We can get started, but let's get a little nostalgic before that. I'm sure it might remind you of what. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. Yes, Nathan.
Are you able to hear it as well?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's hear that because it's an important shloka. So I said, let's replay it. I reminds me.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
All right. So hope you got a little nostalgic about it. I certainly did. I know
Yes.
the whole of India would come to a standstill, especially when Ramayana and Mahabharata would be played. So that those are growing up years for us, and I still have very vivid memories of Sunday mornings. I used to look forward to it. Sometimes it seems like these serials they, the directors, they actually were meant to create these. There are certain things they just happen, and they were just too perfect, both the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, even if you look at it, the older ones. So anyways, let's get into the today's shloka for the day. I'll do the recitation and then you're welcome to follow, and then we'll get into the deeper topic, God's avatars, and more specifically about Lord Shiva today. Now, I've lost my sound meter, because it reminds me of the same way how to recite that. Yada yada hi dharmasya ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. Now, if for some reason you want to recite it the way this is recited, feel free to do that. Okay, so please feel free to do that as well. So let's do that. We'll pick up a few hands and then we'll get started. It's certainly
Radhe Radhe,
nostalgic.
Seemaji.
And in fact, whenever I used to recite this previously, that tune would come automatically. All right, let's pick up a few hands and then we'll get started.
Sure. Seemaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Seemaji.
Yeah, Nitinji and Pallavi, I'd rather sing it the way Mahabharata was. If you don't
Sure,
mind.
Yes.
please go ahead.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam smrajamya.
Paritrana. We'll pick it up next time around. Okay, we'll both together.
Paritranayam sadhunam sambhavani yuge yuge. Last time.
Vinashaya dushkritam, you missed, but that's okay. We'll take that.
Put that one too.
No worries. We'll do that. I know it's certainly nostalgic. That's why I played it. It certainly reminds me of those times for sure.
The first Mahabharata,
Yeah, the first Mahabharata. And it's a beautiful shloka, as we're going to see today. We'll go more deeper into this shloka today. But yeah, very nice, nicely sung. Do we have any more who want to go for that? See, you may want to give a run for money to Mahendra Kapoor, who was the one who actually lent his voice to the shloka. Beautifully sung. Let's pick a few more hands and then we'll get started.
I'm immortal.
Yes, Rupaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe
Radhe everyone.
Radhe.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. I'll continue. Pavitrayana sadhunam vinashaya dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Sambhavami yuge yuge.
Sambhavami yuge. Sorry if I have taken anything wrong, but
No worries.
my tone is not coming actually today.
No worries. No worries. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll take maybe 2 more hands. We have a good amount of content to cover today. So let's pick up real quick and then.
Yes, Ashutosh, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe Ashutosh.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice, Ashutosh ji. Radhe Radhe. All right, who's next?
Yes, Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Shyamji. Very nice. All right, who's next?
Samji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Samji.
Radhe Radhe. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata Abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam sajanyaham.
Very nice.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yes, Sandhya.
राधे राधे यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice. Radhe Radhe.
Yes, Lakshmi ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe everyone.
Okay.
Yadha yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyam.
Very nice, Lakshmi ji. Radhe Radhe. Okay, we can probably pick 3 or 4 more hands.
Yes, Hital ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Wonderful. Very nice.
परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृता धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Very nice. Really made us feel nostalgic once again. Beautiful. Okay, let's pick up maybe a couple of more hands and then we can get started.
Yes, Pragya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे
Radhe.
यदा 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 हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Himashri ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
We can move really quickly to the next one. We have some content to cover.
Yeah, I don't see anyone. Yeah, Pragya ji, please
Yes,
go ahead.
Pragya, real quick.
Radhe Radhe Nitin, Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji.
Radhe.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirvavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Yeah, I can sing the next line, but yeah, let others also try. Thank you.
No worries. Very nice. Thank you. One more and then we'll get started.
Yes, Shikha ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
राधे राधे जी
Radhe Radhe.
यदा यदा हि राधे राधे जी यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्. राधे राधे जी. Thank you.
Very nice. All right, so let's get started then. So this shloka is a very famous shloka. So let's get started. Yada yada means whenever. He certainly dharmasya of righteousness, glani decline, bhavati is Bharata Arjun, descendant of Bharat, abhyuthanam increase, adharmasya of unrighteousness, tada at that time, atmanam self, srijami manifest, aham I. Lot of content on this one, but we'll focus on the avatar aspect of it today, and then it'll take multiple sessions for sure because each word carries a lot of weight in the shloka. So Lord Krishna is saying here, whenever there is a decline in the righteousness and increase in unrighteousness, O Arjun, at that time I manifest myself on earth. God doesn't say I take birth, he says I manifest. Okay, so back to Shivratri, Mahashivratri. Who is Lord Shiva? Is he Param Purush? We'll directly tackle that question. Now let's get started with the avatars, which are classified in 4 categories. These are the avatars of God. When God says I manifest, that means he takes avatar. So what are the 4 avatars? Let's look at it. The first one is Avesha avatar, when God manifests his special powers in an individual soul and acts through him. So the individual soul is chosen as an instrument by God. By the way, when we become God realized, which is a matter of probably another 5-6 years, then the same thing happens. God, basically we become an instrument of God. So in this, like the sage Narad is an example of Avesha avatar. Buddha was also an example of Avesh avatar, where that soul is chosen to be an instrument, where God manifests his powers through that individual soul. Obviously, that soul would have worked, earned their way towards it. Now, next one is Vaibhav avatar. When God descends in his divine form, he manifests more of his divine powers. Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, Vara avatar, they are all examples of Vaibhav avatar. The next one is Prabhav avatar. These are the descensions of God in his personal form, and he displays some of his divine powers. There are two more kinds of it. The first one is where God reveals himself only for a few moments. So it's like serving an express purpose. And once it's done, he departs. Hans avatar is one example of it. Where God manifested before the Kumars answered their question and left. Done. Same thing like Ambar avatar that happened when Draupadi she was saved by Lord Krishna. That Ambar avatar happened, and then after that, it was no longer needed. So those happen, and then God reveals himself, and then he's off. And the second category is avatar remains on earth for many, many, many years, like Vedavyas, who wrote 18 Puranas. Mahabharata divided the Vedas, and he's an example of such an avatar. So Vyas means compilation. He actually divided the Vedas, and that's why his name is Vedavyas. So that is another category. And last but not the least as Paravashtha avatar. In this, God manifests all of his divine powers in his personal divine form. Lord Krishna, Ram, Narsingh avatar, they belong to this category. So if you can see, there are difference in all the avatars based on the purpose for which that avatar is taking place. And that it's just like some powers are manifesting, some are latent, and then in some, the God may choose to manifest all of his glories, all of his powers. So these are the different categories of avatars. Furthermore, there is another category which is called Gunavatar. What are the Gunavatar? So the Param Purush is Krishna, our scriptures say that. Let's look at the Gunavatar aspect of it. The Brahmaji, it's born out of Sattva Gun. The Vishnu, that is Rajas. And then Shiv, that is Tamas. Now Tamas, Rajas and Sattva, don't take it as the material gunas here. These gunas are divine gunas that we are talking about, not the regular ones that you associate to, not the material gunas here. So Tamas gun basically for annihilation, Rajas to maintain, and Sattva to create. So Tamas, I will come back to that, Lord Shiva aspect of it. When I say that, don't take it as material guna, it's important that we don't start thinking tamas means intoxication, slothness, and all that stuff. So it is actually a divine, and I'll tell you how the manifestation can happen. We cannot really, it's not an apples to apple comparison when we say this tamas is the same as the material tamas. No, there's a big difference there. Now, Lord Shiva, if you look at it, if Lord Shiva, we were to meet Lord Shiva, the way our scriptures define Lord Shiva. So it's like that form is the Rudra form of God. When Krishna takes on that form, in case of Brahma, he takes on Brahma, he takes on the form of Vishnu, and he takes on the form of Shiva as well in different manifestations. Brahma, there's a little difference because individual souls can also become Brahma. You and I can become Brahma as well. But when God does not have an eligible soul for the post of Brahma, because it's a pretty, profound or highly responsible job profile, then he fills in that role himself from time to time through the avatar, Gunavatar. However, Lord Shiva and Vishnu are his own avatars only. Just to put it in perspective, the Brahmands, the entire set of Brahmands that we have, universes, they emanate from pore of Mahavishnu. Each pore of his body manifests the Brahmans, so many Brahmans. And each Brahmand has its own set of Shankar, Vishnu, and Mahesh. And that Mahavishnu is just an Ansh avatar of Lord Krishna, the Parampurush. That's what our scriptures say. That is how vast our universe is. Now, if we were to see Lord Shiva in his Rudra avatar, see, we will not even get a chance to run away. We will simply faint. And God forbid, if you actually see his Rudragan come along with it, it will freak you out even more. Okay, and that is where the difference will come in this form and the other form that we will talk about. Anyway, we'll come back to that. But before that, let's listen to this beautiful lecture from Swamiji. It's a very beautiful Leela. We'll go through that, and then we will get deeper into the concept of who is Lord Shiva. So let's watch this video for now. Are you able to hear it?
Yes, yes, we.
Nand Baba came running, and Nand Baba reached the Prasutika Griha, where the pregnant lady is kept. That's the Prasutika Griha. And he said, Ari Yashoda, give me darshan of your Lala. Yashoda said, what will you give in return for the darshan, for the mukh dikhai? You see the mukh dikhai. You see the face, that is mukh dikhai. What will you offer in return? Nand Baba said, depends upon his mukh. So Yashoda said, take a look. And Nand Baba saw, he said, ooh, I offer my tan, man, pran, everything on this little child. Now the news spread. All the Brajbasis gathered. They started celebrating. They all started coming for darshan. Day followed day and the celebration would not end. Everybody would come to the house of Nand Baba. Nand Baba would offer grains, clothes, wealth, cows. He would make all the yachaks into ayachaks, fulfill the desires of everybody who would come. He was so delighted, and the Brajbasis' joy knew no bounds. They are delighted that our chieftain has got a child at this age, and such a wonderful child. Now, they were celebrating. This is not astonishing. The astonishing thing is that Lord Shiv, who was sitting in Samadhi in Kailash, he also came for darshan. And at the time of the Ram avatar, he had changed his dress. But during the Krishna avatar, he came in his original form. He had the Mund Mahal and the snake around his neck, and the scorpions hanging from here. In that original Shringar, Lord Shiv reached. He knocked on the door of Nand and Yashoda, and Yashoda opened the door to find this Babaji there, with scorpions hanging from the ears and a snake around the neck. Yashoda said, Hari Babaji, what do you want? Who are you? Lord Shiv said, Maya, this child of yours who has been born, who is inside, I am his son. The son of the son of his son. Yashoda said, what are you talking about? He is 2 days old. If you are the son of his son's son, that means in every 6 hours he is having children. Lord Shiv said, Maya, you don't see him as a 2-day-old. He is eternal. He has descended in this world as the avatar. So Yashoda said, Babaji, he was born from my stomach, and you say he has taken avatar? Because Yashoda has personal experience. She had the baby in the womb, and when she woke up, the womb is empty, the baby is here. So she sees him as her child. How can she believe that he is the avatar? So Yashoda said, Babaji, my hair has not become white in the sun. She is showing the seniority of her age. So don't try and teach me. Now when she showed the seniority of her age, Lord Shiv said, Maya, do you know how old I am? Yashoda said, how old are you? He said, ever since this world has existed, I have also existed. Yashoda said that just now you said you are the son of his son. And now you are saying you are Adi Jag. What do you want? Ask, I will give it. I am very happy, I am giving everybody things. What is it that you want? Shankarji said, Maya, I don't want material things, because Kuber is my servant. Riddhi and Siddhi are my maid servants. I only want darshan of your Lala. Yashoda said, Babaji, this can never be. Why? Your form is such. You have got a snake, you have got bichu. If my Lala sees, he will become terrified. Shivji said, Maya, he will become terrified looking at me. He is Kalatma Bhagavan. Bhaya dasya nistapati bhayatapati surya bhayatindrasya mrityu dhavati panchavah. Even death trembles in front of him. What are you saying? He'll be scared of me. Now Yashoda said, there's no point speaking to this Baba. So Yashoda said, Babaji, it seems like you have got some hysteria or something. Go and get yourself treated. And I am not going to give darshan of my Lala. Although Shankar is Jagadish, he is God. Krishna is God, he is God, they are doing Leela amongst themselves. But right now, God has taken avatar as the son of Yashoda. So Yashoda's seat is higher. She is the mother of Bhagavan. He is mine. What will you do? Lord Shiv had to return. But he did not go to Kailash. He went on the banks of the Yamuna and started crying. Same strategy. And he is crying so much, Sri Krishna is crying there. So one Sakhi, the Yashoda tried to quiet, chup, 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 chup. She used all the chattu, ghunguna and everything mothers used to quieten the child. Finally one Sakhi said, did you understand something? What? That Baba who had come, he has cast an evil spell. You disrespected him. You should not have done that. So Yashoda also agreed, yes, yes, yes. After his going, he has started crying. Yashoda said, find out where he has gone. The Sakhis went here, they went there, and finally they discovered that he is sitting on the banks of the Yamuna. Yashoda went herself, Babaji, I made a big mistake. You please come to my house. If your feet fall in my house, by their dust my house will get purified. Shankarji said, Bachcha, I have decided I will not go to the house of any grihasti. So Yashoda said, Arey, nahi Babaji, it's not about you, it's about me. It's about my child, my house. Please, I beg you, I request you. The Lord Shiv now came with great pride. And moment he saw Sri Krishna saw Shiv. Sri Krishna's crying all finished. This Leela took place when Krishna was 2 days old. That Anant Koti Brahmand Nayak is doing a Leela. Why does he do this drama? You can never count the number of reasons for his avatar.
All right. So the key concept here is that it's God own avatar, and they do these divine leelas amongst themselves as well. Even when the Ram avatar happened, the same incident had happened where Lord Shiva had come and Kaushalya mother had to turn him away. And also during Ramayana, when Lord Ram was going to fight Ravan, he worshipped Lord Shiva as his Aradhya before going to war. And Lord Shiva, the Leela that where Parvati became Mother Sita to test Lord Ram whether he's truly God, in which Lord Shiva actually considers Lord Ram as his spiritual father. So they are like part of that. They do the Leela. It's like a mutual admiration club that they have. But with mundane souls like us, we start thinking they are different. One is superior than other and things like that. We have that bhed buddhi in terms of God avatar. And our scriptures are telling us very, very clearly that these are the avatars that we are aware of. If we were in some other Brahman, there might be many, many more avatars. Their frame of reference might include more than what we know. Like Narsingh avatar, Matsya avatar, Kachap avatar, all those. So they say Hari Katha Anant and Hari Anant and Hari Katha Anant, and avatars are also innumerable. But the key point here is the avatars, none of the avatars is bigger than the other. Even the Vedvyas, who was himself an avatar, he said that all the dissensions of God are replete with all divine powers, they are perfect and complete. So we should never differentiate one avatar as bigger and another as smaller. One as 90% God, other as 86% God. There is no such concept. God may choose to hide certain attributes. Like I said, that avatar takes place for a particular reason, and in some cases it continues to subsist as well, right? In case of even for Hanuman, it is said it's Rudransh. Rudra basically is Shiv, but that doesn't mean it becomes any less than the God himself. In Leelas, they do that. They set an example and they do the Leelas, and God can do infinite Leelas even amongst its own avatars. That is how it is. And the powers which he chooses to manifest and the powers that he chooses to keep unmanifest or latent is only up to the God. Doesn't make him any less or any more based on the kind of avatar he has taken. Let's look at it a little more, a few more examples. Now, here we have Lord Krishna, like I spoke about in Rameshwaram before the war with Ravan. Ram Bhagwan actually worshipped Lord Shiva. So some people, they say now because Ram Bhagwan worshipped Lord Shiva, so Shiva has to be higher than him. Nothing like that. They do that just to pay respects to each other and tell us that if when you do some undertaking like this undertaking where he was going to fight a war for justice and righteousness, then it is good to pay obeisance to Lord Shiva. Same thing happened with Arjun also. I think he got Astra before the war as well. And Lord Shiva, he worships Lord Ram. Krishna worships Shiva. Shiva worships Krishna. So this continues. This is nothing more than a divine Leela. We have to understand that part. And I'll tell you a story about Lord Shiva. It's a beautiful story narrated by Sri Maharaj Ji. So I'll try to recite as as best as I possibly can. So Lord Shiva, when he came to know about Maharas is happening, he went to Maharas that I need to participate in Maharas as well. My Aradhya, Lord Krishna, is giving the supreme bliss anybody can get in the Maharas where he had stopped time. So I don't know, for 4 billion years or something like that. So he also went there. So when he went to the door, the gopis, they stopped him. they said no entry allowed for males here. Like in India, when you go to some tests and all that stuff, they say no stag entry allowed. There no no male entry was allowed. So Lord Shiva said, but he can continue to persist that, all right, no, I need to get in. So he said that, okay, let me get permission from Radharani. So they went there to seek her permission, and their Parvati was already there, and she smiled. Like Lord Shiva, now he's a male, is coming in, so she smiled. Anyway, because the rule was no male was allowed, so then they actually decorated Lord Shiva as Gopeshwar Maharaj. Gopeshwar, basically Gopi, not Maharaj, Gopeshwar Gopi. And then if you look at this, Lord Shiva actually took on a form of a Gopi, and that is how finally he was able to participate. In fact, when he went there, he asked Gopi, let me in. Don't you know who I am? So Gopis asked me, who are you? He said, I'm Shankar. He said, who Shankar? He said, you don't know which Shankar? I can annihilate the entire universe. So Gopis asked, which universe? So then Shankar started thinking, the Gopis, so basically the point here is that if we were to count the specks of dust in this universe, theoretically one could, although statistically it's impossible. I mean, how we can't even count the specks of dust near our home. So forget about universe. But let's say hypothetically one could count those. Then this universe is even bigger than that. If you could count that, that is how vast it is. And every universe has its own Shankar, Brahma and Vishnu, which is nothing but a Gunavatar of Lord Krishna, Param Purush himself. So that's when Shankarji said, all right, and then he had to actually take on a form of Gopeshwar, Gopi, and then he was permitted that Maharaj. In fact, he's such a big devotee of Lord Krishna, and Krishna is such a big devotee of Lord Shiv, that actually that mutual devotion that they have, it is said that even the flute of Lord Krishna is actually Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva said, I want to be close to you, and the closest is touching his lip always. And Lord Krishna say, you are my Aradhya. The best way I can press your feet is by having you as my flute. So Lord Shiva takes on a form of his flute as well to serve him. And Lord Krishna does the same by pressing and giving him that privilege. So these are all divine leelas. It's very difficult to understand the same person taking different forms and doing different things, but that is spiritual realm we are talking about. It's entirely different from how we perceive it here in the material world. Now, although they are same, both are same, yet there is a difference. What is the difference? The difference is in ras, in the sense that if I were to go to my mother and father, it's a very normal example. I would go to them when they are in their most loving personified form, as opposed to their angry form or official form. Now, it's not an angry form or an official form. When I said tamas, right, it's a divine gun. The same tamas, when it becomes a flute, it can actually, Krishna is also called a chittachor, right? And one of the ways he actually steals your chit is through the flute, and that flute is Lord Shiva. So that same tamas can actually enable stealing the hearts of even the Paramhams. So that is why I'm saying that tamas does not have to be construed as the tamas as we look at it in material world. So the point here being, what is the difference between the ras in that case? Like I said, if you were to actually see Lord Shiva in his full glory, like he does, or if he comes along with his Rudra, who some of them have one head, some multiple heads, some have bones only, some have no limbs, some have multiple limbs, will probably faint. Even when we watch a horror movie, that can make us faint, right? So in that form, either it will invoke fear or respect. That loving part is the loving form, is the Krishna form, where he manifests his full glories. In fact, there are 4 madhuris associated with Krishna's form, because it is very enchanting. So it becomes easy for the mind. But nevertheless, if we still have that mind of we want to consider God's aura, and that form is associated, that is fine. But the key thing here is to keep it in mind, they are all the same. Not have a discriminating mindset that one is higher, other is lower, one is different. The Krishna advantage is that it's an enchanting form. It's easy to relate your mind to Krishna, because that's where he comes in his loving form, And there are 4 Madhuris associated with Lord Krishna's form. I hope I remember those: the Leela Madhuri, Roop Madhuri, and then the Murli Madhuri, and the 4th one, I'm sure somebody can remind me that. So it becomes easy to attach our mind to the form of Krishna. Nevertheless, even if we attach it to any other form that comes naturally to us, it's perfectly all right based on our past sanskars or whatever appeals to our sensibilities. So, but the key point here is they are all the same. In fact, Lord Shiva has been called as an absolute par Brahma in scriptures as well. In some scriptures they did not. Maharaji explains it very nicely that he was the one who got the highest bliss anybody can get, which is the Maharas, and within that also the Samartharati bliss. And he is not like an ordinary soul like us. God himself, like I said, it is Gunavatar, and then they serve each other in their different avatars, as we have seen through some examples. So with that, let's come to today's discussion topic. It's important not to discriminate. So the question today is, what are the disadvantages of differentiating between different avatars of God, as it happens fairly normal in our minds? It's very difficult to us to shed that inhibition that they are all the same. But the point that we will discuss today is, what are the disadvantages of differentiating? And I'll also bring in some scriptural reference around if we continue to do that, what happens. I'll open it up with that. And Pallaviji, if you want to make some announcements, you can, and then we can take
Nitinji, there is a request. Is it possible to post the link of the video which we played?
Yes, I will. No problem. Yeah.
And yes, I'll go ahead, and I have some quick announcements. So first of all, wishing everyone a very happy Mahashivratri, and hope you all are enjoying the blissful events which are going on in JKU. So especially for 1st March, Tuesday, this Shiv Puja from 6 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. There are a lot of various programs: Shiv Puja, Shiv Aarti, Mahamrityunjay chanting, cultural program. So this is going to be our final day of Mahashivratri celebrations. Hope you all take advantage of it, soak in the divine celebrations and bhakti of Lord Shiva. So this is the quick announcement for today.
Wonderful. Thank you. You can post the feedback track in the meantime as well. So let's get that going. What is the disadvantage do we have, and why is it important for our intellect? We need to really get to convince our intellect that not to discriminate, and I'll explain you why it is important. But let's hear from participants first, because it's a concept that often confuses people, and it's very difficult to shed that inhibition even after hearing it. But it is important to do that, and that's what I'll try to explain that. So let's hear from a few participants on this first.
Yes, Sudhakar ji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe,
Please go ahead. Yes.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you for giving the opportunity to on this topic. I would like to share my thoughts. One of the disadvantage I see is our intellect can get distracted. That is, like for example, if there are so many demigods and other things, and even in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna himself, he says he's the only one. All others are incarnations. Sometimes people differentiating the avatars, they get inclined to one form of the god and they start abusing or disrespecting other avatars of the god, and which is also not a real good sign or understanding of the actual god. This is what I thought.
Yep, very true. In fact, the sampradayas, I had touched upon that concept in one of our previous sessions. This is the problem that happens. So like we have a sampradaya which follows Krishna. They think that if they're going to worship Ram, it's going to change their Ishtadev. Very incorrect. So what they have done is that actually mantra is from, forgot that exact, it Upanishad. The actual mantra is Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So they put Krishna on the top. and then they say the Ram is actually Balram. So those kind of things start happening, which is not how it needs to be. And the Ram Bhakts, they will simply say Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and they'll not say the other part. So these kind of confusions start happening, which is not good. And it is actually a transgression. It is called a spiritual transgression, where we do bhed bhav or discrimination between different avatars. And spiritual transgression, which is called namaprad, is one of the things which is like we should just stay away from that. Our bhakti will not fructify if we resort to that thinking. That is how important it is. And that can happen actually when we start discriminating between avatars and thinking one is higher, the other is lower, and those kind of things. So it's very important to go to the knowledge, proper knowledge from scriptures, and eliminate that doubt once and forever for good, because that is something we all fall prey to at different stages of our life. But
Yeah, the other example also, Nitinji, as we see today's world, people are fighting amongst the religions in the name of the God.
Yes,
it
very
is just not, I'm talking about the Hindu religion or particular religion.
Very
people
true.
start debating, my God is superior than to your God, different in the religions. So this is a real problem. So there are so many disadvantages in the current world. The God is only one. If everybody believes and is in a different form, all these problems will not be there. This is what I thought.
Very true. So God is a superlative term. First of all, we have to understand it's like good, better, best. There are three forms in English. There is no God, God, or goddess. God is a superlative term. So if there were multiple gods, then it belies basically, it doesn't, it's a paradoxical to the definition of the God itself. So God is just one. Now you may call it with different names in different religions, or in different avatars, but that doesn't mean the God has become any less or any better than the other one. That is a very, very important concept to understand. Great point. Let's hear from other participants as well.
Yeah. Shyamji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. It is my personal belief. I don't know how true it is, but we get biased towards one form of the God, and then when I start believing one form of God, other forms are more like secondary to me. I do not feel or worship or respect them the way I respect my initial God. As in my case, I used to worship Lord Shiva and Lord Ma Durga. So for me, other forms, other avatars were like anybody else in the field or in the realm of gods. So and we just start not differentiating between, but just have lower value for the gods. And my only aim, only purpose is to serve my better God. And if I do not worship them the way I should or I want, then I felt that something would go wrong, and they would just be after me, or they would not be the way they would have been with me, or I would have been with them. And just I feel scared at times. But now I guess it is more of intellect. We need to study or read like this we're doing this Gita, so that I get now I'm more better, more straight now. So I know God, as you have taught Nitin Bhai for last year and a half or so. I am now much more clear now. But initially, I had my own apprehensions. I was skeptical about forms, but now, yes, it's all right. Intellect plays a very vital role in our lives, in our selves. That's it. Radhe Radhe.
Very true. And this is, we are not alone. I'm sure a lot of people are there who feel that, if they worship this God, the other one will feel offended. So let me do that. Even if scriptures say that, who knows, who wants to take a chance, what if it gets upset with? These kind of confusions are there. So problem, what happens with these confusions is it does not solidifies our devotion, right? We are always hung up in doubts and confusion and stuff like that. It's just like, okay, if Amitabh Bachchan, right, he becomes coolie in one movie, Don in another, Inspector in another, Mafia in another, and Jaya Bachchan is getting confused. I married one guy, and this is four different people he has become, but I like you more when you become Don, but I don't like you so much when you become coolie. So this is exactly the same thing. Okay, so we have to look at it in perspective, and it's very important not to, even you don't, it's not that you lose respect. It says, okay, you are attached to one form in particular, which is perfectly fine, but you understand they are all the same form, nothing else. I will give you an example of Tulsi Das ji tomorrow. Okay, it's a beautiful narration by Maharaj. I was listening to that the other day. So It's a very beautiful narration, okay? And that is how a devotee should approach the different forms of God. Even when the form that you have not worshipped, like as your Ishtadev, appears in front of you, how to approach that. I'll explain that tomorrow, Ram and Krishna avatar part of it. But yeah, the important thing is, yes, there's one form you will get really hooked onto, which is how it's meant to be anyways. But then you appreciate the fact that it's the same. You don't get confused. My father is now changed clothes, so my father has changed. No, that's not the key. That is the most important thing. And that is what our scriptures say. Don't get into that, because that is called a bit of spiritual transgression, which will not let your bhakti get fructified or to the next level. That
So
is
we need to have the right intellect, right knowledge, Siddhan bhai.
right.
Because people like us are very few, I believe, and normal people do not know how to worship or which form to worship, and there's where the catch is. And there we get confused and we get scared, and all those things happen to us the way we think it. So knowledge is, I guess, the better of all of us. So need to have the better knowledge, right intellect, understand the God.
Yes, and that is says the biggest clash that we have as human beings is what? Ignorance. That is the biggest problem. And then it has a compounding effect. What is the eighth wonder in the world? The compound interest. If I give you $1 million today and I give you 1 cent today and say it will double and you'll take after 30 days, which one you go for? You'll probably go for $1 million. But if you calculate on the 30th day, it's going to far exceed the million. So when you make that ignorance, your foundation is weak, then you start building a castle. That compounding mistake is going to get magnified over time. And that is because of the lack of knowledge. We don't get the right knowledge. The foundation is weak, and then we start building our concepts. So we are extremely fortunate that we get access to the real knowledge from Shri Maharajji with proper examples. And not everybody gets that. Maybe they'll get it in due course of time or whenever it becomes priority. But if we are getting it, it's important to dispel those doubts for good, because this is not a one lifetime doubt. Then if you are able to eliminate it with knowledge, then it's a done deal. Your mind, you carry this mind forward, right? Man is your sambandhi. You will carry this mind forever. So if you have dispelled it with knowledge, not just for the sake of, then it's a permanent knowledge with you. And it is very important. This can actually derail our spiritual journey in a lot of ways if we don't understand this concept. We keep on Shivite and Vaishnavites fight. It's all Ram Bhakt they will take and start killing. So this is all ignorance, nothing else. That is why the fanaticism happens, the religion that fights happen. So that's unfortunate, but that's why if we're getting knowledge, I think we should put it to good use. So
Beautifully said. Nitinji, there is a question.
I'm happy that you said that in next 5-6 years we all be God realized. That's so good that we all are there on the same path, and 5 years, yes, we are there. Thank you so much. Radhe Radhe.
No, it's good to be optimistic. So we will definitely be much better version of ourselves by the time we finish off the entire Bhagavad Gita. That much is 100% guarantee, no matter what. Now, if some of us get God realized, that's a bonus for sure. But please do announce yourself and give us a presentation before you get God realized. Okay, that's my only request.
Wow. Nitinji, there is a question in the chat. That is, Anusha ji has asked, why can't God stay in this earth always by changing avatars instead of descending every time in different avatar?
It's because of global warming. So I don't know. So God actually comes for a express purpose. And I think only God can answer that, because I think he has to give avatars in multiple universes. There's so many universes. I don't know. I mean, he comes with a time limit usually, and then he doesn't overstay his welcome. That's usually how it goes. After the purpose is fulfilled, he just goes back, and then he gives his name and the basis for devotion to us, so that we can still complete our God realization, even though he has closed his pastime. So that is why it's said that God's name is even higher than God, because God comes and goes, but God's name stays. And using God's name, people have actually transformed their life. And he has put all of his powers in his names. The other day I was talking about, right? If you're feeling thirsty and you start saying water, 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 it will not quench your thirst. But if you are spiritually thirsty, and you start saying Ram Ram, Radhe Sham, Siya Ram, Om Namah Shivaya, it will start quenching your spiritual thirst. That is the power of God's name.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. Padmaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Padmaji.
Radhe Radhe. This is what I truly feel. If you really want to imbibe, not just understand, but imbibe spirituality, I think you have to take the biases from your mind. At least recognize that we have biases in our mind and beg him to give us that conviction and the strength to take those biases out of our mind. Then you can actually imbibe spirituality, like truly, like every atom of your body will imbibe that. That is the number one thing I truly feel. The other thing is, everything I feel that everything that we study in scriptures and the stories and leelas that we study, it is showing us and telling us that unity in diversity, right? Diverse forms of the same human beings, right? Different forms, different religions, different cultures, different way of praying to God, right? Different names that we take upon, different castes that we take upon. That is showing right on our face that unity in diversity is what he's trying to preach. That's how I see it. Third thing is, these are all different forms of God, whether it's sattvic or rajasic or tamasic that you were saying, Nitinji. It's like the qualities in itself, I don't think they're bad unless you put a bad action attached to those qualities. So if you take those qualities and if you put a higher purpose to it, a divine purpose to it, all these beautiful qualities, whether it's tamasic or sattvic or rajasic, when you put a higher purpose to this, those qualities will really serve the purpose for spirituality. And then religions, we have so many religions to fight over, but we don't have enough religions to actually share that love. And when we have this mindset of biases in our mind, whether it's religion or gender biases also, it really brings us down of acceptance of everything else, and we really cannot reach to that state of mind accepting another person. We're not even able to accept other forms of God, and when we cannot do that, you cannot grow in your bhakti. When you accept it, that's when you can grow bhakti. That's how I feel it. That's how I sense it. That's how I feel that. So those are.
Yep, beautiful points, Padmaji. In fact, you said unity in diversity. In God's avatar's case, it's actually diversity in unity. Even though they are same, he gives us a lot of diversity around it.
Right.
Beautiful points. I can see a few new hands, Anupam ji and Hema. Maybe after that, let's pick up some new participants. Encourage all of you to come forward in our discussions and recitations. It's always good to see new names and new participants coming forward.
Definitely.
Hi, Nitinji. It was a really great session. This is the first time I have attended this.
Okay.
And one of my friends forwarded me the link. It was really amazing, and I really would like to appreciate all of your efforts about this. So I just have a very basic question. I could be completely wrong about it. It is just about the Hindi and English translation. So when we say this, yada yada hi dharmasya glanirabhati bharata abhyuthanam dharmasya. So in English translation, it was written as abhyuthanam space adharmasya. So, but in the Hindi, there is no alphabet. If you could please clarify.
Adharmasya. Abhyuthanam means increase, and adharmasya mean of unrighteousness. So yes, when the sandhi happens, it may look like dharmasya, but it is abhyuthanam adharmasya. So God is saying, and tomorrow where we will pick up that, because this shloka would take multiple sessions. So it is saying whenever there is an increase in unrighteousness, that is when I might manifest myself. So you've got a good point. It's actually a sandhi word with Sanskrit that is seeming like dharmasya, but it's actually adharmasya.
So when we pronounce it, we should always say abhyuthanam adharmasya.
Very true.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And where are you joining us from, Anupam?
Yes.
He's asking from there.
Where are you joining us from?
Oh, I'm from Dallas.
Oh, Dallas only. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Please do come to Radha Krishna temple one of these days, maybe Sunday satsangs. We can catch up. So good to know.
Oh,
Know that.
great to know. Thank you so much. for the
Yeah,
invitation.
those are our coordinates over the weekend. Balmukund I teach, so but yeah, we can always
Mhm.
over the satsang. There's Mahaprasad after that, so do come over. I think it'll be good to catch up with you.
Yeah, it would be really great to meet you in person.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Good to hear you. Radhe Radhe. All right, I can see Hemashri as well.
Yes, Hemaji. Hemaji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe Nitin ji. Radhe Radhe Pallavi ji.
We've got a
Nitin
student.
sir, first I would like to recite that shloka.
Okay.
If you give me a chance, then I will be speaking on the topic.
All right, please go ahead, Hema.
यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहं परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे.
Wonderful. Almost seemed like Lord Krishna's soul came into you, but very nice, Hema.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, tell me. Good to hear you after a while. So, by the way, Hema is a student. Okay, she's. It's very inspiring to know that she started off on this journey fairly early on in her life. So, go ahead, Hema. You had some question.
So I would like to speak on the topic that suppose if Lord Krishna is my Ishtadev, and if I don't worship Lord Ram, or if I start, differentiating between Lord Ram and Lord Krishna, then I'm not realizing that I'm hating my Lord in another form. I'm hating my Lord I'm hating Krishna as Lord Ram. So it's not good for me. So what should I think is, if I'm worshipping Lord Shiva or Lord Ram, I should be thinking that I am worshipping Lord Krishna, who is form of Lord. I'm worshipping Lord Shiva, who is form of Lord Krishna.
Very true.
So in that way, that is the only solution to this problem. Initially, I too was little bit specific in worshipping a particular deity. So later on, I realized that I'm worshipping the same God.
Very true. Yeah, that's usually a symptom of, as you progress in your devotion, these things will start subsiding all by themselves. But it's even better if you start off with a proper knowledge, because when you increase in devotion anyway, this realization will start dawning upon you that it's just the same. But if you start off with that understanding, even better, because then that confusions, that doubts will be dispelled, and it's a very great way to look at it. Very true. It doesn't mean if you love one form more, you hate other. Maybe you think that form is, not as the same as this, but yeah, it's important to dispel that doubt. And it's fine to get attached to a particular form as long as you have an understanding that all the forms are the same. It's just that that form is something. It's like when would you go to your mom or your dad? When they are in a good mood, when they are in a loving mood. As kids, we would stay away from our mom and dad when they come from office and they're already fried, right? So a tight slap can come anytime. Similarly, with God also, it's easy for us to approach God in his most enchanting and loving form. And that is why it's easy to attach your mind to Lord Krishna, and not so much to Narsingh avatar or any avatar, because that will only invoke fear in you. That's the point. But all are same.
Yeah, thank you, Hemaji, and wonderful, wonderful recitation. Very nice.
Very nice, Hema. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have time?
And Nitinji, there is a request that Rimaji has asked, especially for Samji, where have you got the picture of Krishna that is in your background? Samji, please go ahead and say that.
Samji, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe.
I think it's one of the, Nitinji gives all those at the end of that slides and all those things.
Yeah.
I cropped it out of that.
I think this is in the Bhagavad Gita PDF.
Yeah, maybe, but I cropped it out of that one. So
I can send that picture to you if you need that. So do email me or put it in the feedback tracker. I will send it to you. But do
Rimaji, please put it in the feedback tracker. And just a reminder, feedback tracker has been posted. The link for the feedback tracker. Please put in your comments, feedback, your request.
So by the way, tomorrow we'll talk about Ram Bhagwan and how Tulsidas, it's a very beautiful narration, how Tulsidas approaches this thing that we are talking about. So Shamji, that will help you address one more question tomorrow. What if God descends in a different form altogether in front of, just to have some fun with you? Then what do you do? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Let's hear from a few more
Yeah.
participants. Do we have time?
Yeah.
Pavitra?
Can I,
Maybe a few more
yes.
minutes
Can
and-
I please take Ramya ji?
Okay.
We have a couple of minutes. Yes. Ramya ji, Radhe Radhe, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Ramya, very nice.
Okay. Okay. The question was, why do we differentiate, and what are the disadvantages of differentiating, right? So what I feel is, the scriptures are very, very huge, and we discussed the story of three blind men. They're touching the elephant from three different sides, and
Five.
they have a different. Oh yeah, sorry, five blind men and touching the elephant from five different sides, and they have a different perception. So I think if someone focuses only one part of the Veda or one part of the scripture, instead of looking it as a whole, then they focus on only that part, and whatever somebody else tells, it might feel totally foreign to them, or so they reject it. So reading we don't have, I feel that we don't have enough time or intellect or whatever to read all the scriptures completely in this lifetime. So the best is to approach a guru. And one more thing is, like, suppose if you're in listening from a sampradaya or a tradition who's focusing only on one aspect and rejecting the others, then and they are quoting from the scriptures, not that they are telling whatever comes to their mind. You start thinking that yes, it's perfectly correct, and that imbibes a fear in you of offending your teachers. So that could be another reason why sometimes a fear is invoked in worshipping another god. It's due to like causing an offense to your teachers or to your sampradaya.
Yeah, the sampradaya,
And
when we talk about Ramyaji, again, it has to, if it's coming directly from the word of mouth of Guru, who is God realized and Shrotri and Brahmanish, then yes. But if it is coming from ordinary people, like us, like me, for example, who's telling something without vetting it or adding its own your own interpretation to what you have understood, then it's a problem. But if it
you
is,
are my guru, Nitinji.
no, please don't say that. Okay, I'm not even worthy of that. Point here being, with sampradayas, the problem happens if it is directly coming from a guru, then it makes sense. But when the disciples, they start putting their own interpretation to those scriptures and their own understanding, that's where the problems can start happening. That is why you need a proper guru, or verbatim whatever they have said is being relayed. If there is a transmission loss in between, it can cause confusion. So but yeah, I get your, but anything that is motivated with fear, there is a problem. Because in case of God, regardless of which religion you go into, even in Christianity, they say love God with all thy heart and all thy might. Love is the common denominator across all the scriptures. So anything that is motivated by anything less than love, especially it invokes divisiveness, fear, those kind of things, something is not right there.
Can I take another moment? I wanted to just share one more thing.
Okay, one moment.
Yeah. So Swamiji's session last time, the Q&A, I had asked one question, and I just wanted to say that it was so precise and there was no beating around the bush. It was very concise and very practical, and it really lit my heart. When I was, and all the questions, not only my question, and one person had asked about Karmaj and Honi. Like, if it is Honi, then what's the point of Karmaj, and how Swamiji answered it? Yeah, I was there, and oh my God, it really took me to a different platform and plane. So I just wanted to share the experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I would like to hear that response from you because I missed part of that session. But yeah, his answers are very, very to the point, no beating about the bush, and very direct, clear answer. He will give you very logical and straight answer, and vetted through scriptures for sure. So thank you for calling that out, Ramyaji.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Ramyaji.
Maybe one more. I know we are out of time today. Pallavi ji,
Yeah.
and
We'll take Hital ji and Sam ji. Yeah. Seema ji is also waiting for some time.
a minute each maybe. Then
Yeah, please, if you can be a little quick, that
just
would
a
be
minute.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure, let me start with it. Radhe Radhe, everyone.
Radhe.
So the questions towards to me and leads to me thinking about myself, right? So lack of knowledge can attribute into thinking of differently. Each God, every God is the same. And what happened actually is my misconception, I would say, or the interpretation happened through the scriptures, and there is no proper guru or something. There were many creeds happen, many sampradaya, which we would say in Hindi, and that leads into a different God, etc. Other point I would add say is our perspective. We look at it, our selfish, our fear. It also makes the creating a different God forms and going to the different God.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's all leading to the same, right? So we worship some God. Okay, they're gonna give me some kind of done. Somebody gonna say, okay, they're gonna give me this. So we created this kind of form and fear or some kind of misconception in our mind, and that leads to the different form of God.
Yep.
And one thing I would say that humanity is the only religion. There is no other religion. Even God says the same thing.
Yep.
And one more thing, which one was asking, like why God is not on the earth, right? But God's come into the guru form, right? So if you go to the guru, and that the guru is nothing but the God,
Very
and
true.
that was guru leading us to the God.
Very true.
So I would not take much time now. I have so many things, but I will end up right now here. Thank you, guys.
Beautiful point, Hetalji. Very true. So it's less like if we don't have a guru, we can get lost. If you read Devi Puran, it will say Devi is the ultimate. If you read Shiv Puran, it will say Shiva is the ultimate. If you read Vishnu Puran, it will say Vishnu is the ultimate. Now, with our selective knowledge, selective understanding, whatever we have gotten exposed to, we'll think that is the truth. That's where you need a guru who can give you a holistic picture, a bird eye view of this whole thing. And then with his grace and God's grace, that faith gets solidified and it all starts clearing up. Now, whatever exposure we have gotten, we hold it to us as truth. And that's where the importance of guru is there, who can actually give us the complete picture and resolve our doubts so that we can focus on thing that really matters. And what really matters? Increasing our devotion towards God rather than getting hung up with these doubts, which do not lead us anywhere. Okay, real quick then. Rishabh ji, I see a new hand today.
Yes, Seema ji, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe. I'll make it short and sweet and succinct. Yeah, what you said, Nitinji, was just right. God takes avatar and then he leaves, and then he leaves his assistants. And then what I wanted to answer was Anupam's the reading the Sanskrit. There is in my new learning, there is a way to break the word so it doesn't sound atrocious. So and it's not dharmas, it's adharmasya, where to break it, and that's when it sounds right. Then the answer to your thing is there is no need to fight between gods or people. Some people have affinity to one god, but you do not have to devalue others. They have a mutual respect. Some people prefer one form over the other, what else? I think the bottom line is to love and worship privately, unlike having a private spirituality. Share it with others if the people are willing to learn. So no, just like we treat human beings with mutual respect, do the same with the others without degrading them. That's it.
Great point, Seema ji. Very nice. Thank you very much. I see Rishabh ji. I think you are new, probably first time.
Rishabh ji, Radhe Radhe, please unmute yourself.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
It's an honor to be on this platform with everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Radhe Radhe. Everyone so much inclined in spirituality. Thank you so much. So just one point I wanted to bring to notice to everyone, that when we are into scriptures, we have to look at the chronology and the importance of them. the very first thing that comes to us is Shruti. That is what the sages or the gurus in the deep meditation of the forest, they what they heard, the word of God, and they noted it down, and that is called Shruti. Shruti means to hear, and that is the meaning the Vedas. That are the Vedas. So they are chronologically, they are placed at the very top, Shruti. Then comes the Smruti. Smruti means whatever you remember and then you note it down. That is Smruti. Like we have Parashar Smruti, like we have Manu Smruti. And third comes the Itihas, where we have Mahabharata and Ramayana. And fourth comes the Puranas. So when we just take Puranas, Puranas are considered the least. Okay. And when Ved Vyasa just wrote Brahma Sutra. After just completing his work of Brahma Sutra, he started crying. The reason was he just thought that I have written this Brahma Sutra, but will the common man understand this? It is so difficult to understand. So after that, he started writing Puranas. And Puranas are, he wrote just to make the sense that it is in the form of stories, to make the very mediocre intellect understand through stories. So I just wanted to bring to the notice that Puranas are considered to the least. First is Shruti, then Smruti, then Itihas, then the fourth one is Puranas. And also we should know the name of 18 Puranas. Now new all Puranas are coming up in the market. Anyone is giving the name of new Puranas. So that is really very much manipulating.
Thank you, Rishabh ji, for your insights on this. I'm sure we'll get to hear more and discuss more on it.
Thank you so much.
The significance of Puranas, the Itihas Puranas, Shruti, Smriti, all that stuff. We have had a lot of discussion of it in the past. I'm not sure if you've been attending these sessions, but I'm sure we can pick up on this discussion and go in more depths around this topic. But good to hear from you. Real quick from the remaining participants, if you want to. Otherwise, we are way over time. So either way is fine.
Yeah.
Pallavi, your call.
Yes, Samji, if you can be real quick, that
Yeah, we'll take 1
Thanks
minute.
for waiting. Yeah.
Not more than a minute each. So let's quickly wrap it up.
And Radhe, I just want to say on that thing that in the Sikhism also Ikko Onkar, that is also signify the same thing, that all gods are, whosoever you attack it, they are the same, but they happen to be the Ikko. That's why they combined the whole thing. And that's why, so basically you can say, in case you happen to be visualizing Lord Shiva, in that you can have a visualization of Lord Krishna. Same way in Lord Krishna, you can visualize whatever your own Ishdevta happen to be there, that way you can do it. Other thing I completely different was saying that this Shivratri is tomorrow, they counted tomorrow, right? First of March.
Mm-hmm.
Is it 1st of March or is today?
1st of March is what
in India, it's already 1st of March.
All right. Okay. And I got to note that one is coinciding with our wedding anniversary, 47th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Their wedding and our wedding anniversary. Thank you.
Nice, Samji. That's a wonderful coincidence.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Congratulations in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aarti ji, Radhe Radhe.
One of the sessions we will talk about Om part as well. It's called the Pranav. Then people consider Om as the absolute thing, right? We will talk about that concept as well. Our universe is Omkar based as well. We'll talk about that concept. Aarti ji, real quick.
Nitin ji and Pallavi ma'am, Radhe 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 everyone. I just happened to read Gita Mahatmya in Varaha Puran, and there Lord Krishna is saying कि when I'm in my Maheshwar form, then I'm meditating Gita only, and whenever I'm on and in my Vishnu form, I'm lying on the serpent, big serpent, and I'm meditating in Gita only. So he himself is directly saying that he is in different forms, and according to his work given. And yes, I again happened to join late due to internet problem. So, sir, please kindly give me the slides and all
I
associated
will
with
be
it.
uploading it
And,
in the portal. So if you're on the portal, you will get it.
please, yeah, please sum up the session in 1 minute from your mouth. I would like to listen, sir. Please, just 1 minute of it.
It's like somebody asking me for an elevator speech, right? They call it in corporates. So the elevator speech for today's session is that Lord Shiva, Lord, same as Lord Krishna. There's just a different form. We spoke about the different avatars of God, and Guna within Guna avatar, the Sattva avatar, Guna avatar is Brahma, the Rajas is Vishnu, and the Tamas is Lord Shiva. And the flute that Lord Krishna has in its hand, that is Lord Shiva. That is his way of serving Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna obliges by pressing his feet, by playing down that flute. So they are all the same. We should not consider one avatar higher or lower than the other. So that is the executive summary for today's. No avatar is higher or lower. You pick up your Ishtadev and then don't consider anybody as lower or higher. That is the key message for today. And tomorrow we will discuss about Ram avatar and Krishna avatar, where people have a bit of a tiff there as well. And we'll talk about the Tulsidas example, where people quote that example that he came in his Krishna avatar and he said, no, you pick up a Dhanush Band. What does that mean? We'll talk about that tomorrow. Let's do our closing prayers. Hopefully that was helpful. Please fill in the feedback tracker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aarti ji. Very nice. Or if you want to join the chorus, please do unmute yourself and then let's do it all together and we'll see how it goes again today. Om.
Yes.
Tomorrow, so stay safe, take care. Radhe Radhe.
Yeah, sorry, Nitinji. It looks like by mistake everyone got muted.
Oh, that's why.
Sorry about that.
It was
Yeah, there was.
Quiet group today.
I was like, okay, what happened? It looks like I was trying to unmute and everyone was muted. My mistake. Sorry about that.
Maybe it was God's plan today, so I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nitinji, for such an awesome, enlightening session. And everyone, have a very happy Mahashivratri. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed evening. Radhe Radhe.
Thank you for the opportunity and happy Mahashivratri to all of you. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.